Well, it's unbelievable that we've actually gotten halfway through the course, CLA395, Greek myth, gods, heroes, and humans. It's been really excellent to have you this way so far. I know there was a lot of reading to do in the Harris Plaster textbooks, but as you've noticed, you actually are more than halfway through the textbook. So this is really going quite well. So I'm glad that you've stuck with it up to this point. And now we got to get through the evaluative process of the midterm exams. So this video is meant to explain to you the procedure for what to do, so that you'll be able to do it really smoothly and complete it in accordance with the course requirements. So going to help you out here so that you'll be able to come up with a good grade. It does count for 40% of the grade, so we want you to do well with it. Okay, so first of all, please check back from the first day of the course, the first session. There was a reference to the oath of academic honesty in that video about exams. So go back to the forum on oath of academic honesty and check that you did put that in there. If you didn't, then please pause the video and find the forums that says oath of academic honesty, download the document from it, read it, initial it, and upload it back onto the forum. The only reason why that might have come up is if you joined the class late and therefore didn't see that video and didn't accomplish that task, or if for any other reason you didn't realize you needed to do it. So if you haven't done it yet, you do need to complete that requirement to complete the course in accordance with academic standards of University of Rhode Island as well as my own. Okay, so please take care of that and then you can move along. All right, so now midterm exam. Main thing to know about with the midterm exam is that it will show up under resources. As I explained previously, it will be there only up to the day that the midterm exam itself is due, and then at the end of that day, it will disappear out of resources. So be sure to download the midterm exam out of resources for the brief period when it is available, and don't allow it to lapse and then discover that you didn't get it. Okay, so the midterm exam provides you everything on that document that you need, and if you have any specific questions about it, you can obviously email me, but that should be relatively self-explanatory on its own. So included on the midterm are the 10 IDs that you need to complete, the questions for the 2 passages that I will separately email to you, and then the topics for the essay, as well as some guidelines for how to write an effective essay. Okay, we're going to talk about all of these in detail. Again, this is 40% of the grade. The closed book part is 40 points, and the open book essay is 60 points. And this is divided up as 28 and 12, so that should give you a good guideline for where to put your effort. Okay. Remember, please, once you do download the midterm exam, to please, if possible, complete this midterm exam in a single sitting, as opposed to multiple separate times. If that's not possible because of your schedule, then do your best. If you can do it, maybe the closed book part in one sitting, the open book part in another sitting, that's acceptable. But if possible, we want to simulate a real exam setting in accordance with your oath as much as possible. So if you can get it accomplished in one sitting, that really is ideal. But if there are any difficulties with that, then we'll obviously accommodate and allow you to accomplish this in a different way. Okay, so now let's talk about the specifics of the midterm exam itself. First of all, the closed book part. As the name suggests, and as is on the Oath of Academic Honesty, you may not use any aids for the closed book part. All you can use is your computer and the noggin up here. Okay, so make sure that you don't use any other aids to complete the closed book part. All right, so on the closed book part, again, the IDs are there on the midterm exam itself. There is, by the way, also the midterm exam review sheet that you can get also and study that in advance to help you study before you actually turn to the midterm exam itself. All right, but the IDs themselves are on the midterm itself. So the IDs, you have about 40 names of various characters, gods, cities, places, various concepts, terms from Greek culture and so forth that appear usually in bold type somewhere in the Harris Plaster textbook. So I do recommend that you look for the bold type words from the textbook. That will give you some tip-offs as to what's likely to show up as an ID in the closed book part. Okay, once you have selected your 10 IDs that you would like to talk about among the group, what you need to do is locate 3 different facts or more that you can describe about the particular subject that you choose. They do need to be something different, so you can't be mushy like Zeus is the brother of Hera and also the husband of Hera, and take that as 2 different things. That's not acceptable. You can say that, but that would only be one thing. You'd have to say more things about Zeus being king of the gods and his attribute as the thunderbolt and so forth. So be really careful to be as well informed as possible, be as complete as you can, be as accurate as you can, and don't leave vague comments unexplained, because anything that makes me feel like you're just sort of guessing might lead to a deduction. And obviously anything that's inaccurate is going to lead to a deduction. So be as complete and accurate as you can with your IDs as you describe them. Please also put them in separate paragraphs, one per ID, and a paragraph is preferable to bullet point, but a bullet point is acceptable if you find that it's necessary to organize your information that way. But the paragraph is what I find is easier for me to read and know that you got what I need to see for the ID part. Okay, so that's the ID section of the closed book part. Next are the passages. In the days leading up to the midterm, you will receive your 2 passages by email. Watch for an email from me in advance warning you that it will be coming. Okay, it may even already have come to you even by the time you're watching this video. So be on the lookout for that. When you receive your 2 passages, the midterm itself gives you the 4 questions that you need to complete on your 2 passages each. And by the way, the 2 passages can come from anything that you've read of the ancient Greek works up to the last chapter, which is chapter 13 on Homer's Odyssey. Any of those ancient works may potentially provide you with a passage that may be emailed to you. So be on the lookout for that. So the passages are 2 of them. You need to tell me the title of the work, the author of the work, the general plot of the work from which the passage is taken, and then the context in which the passage occurs within the work. And when you do that last one, describe if there's anything special about the passage that the author wants the audience to know about. Is there some part of the plot that's being highlighted, or is there an editorial comment that the author is trying to make? Whatever that might be, make sure that you indicate those things. So when you put that all together, then you're going to have the ID section and the passage section with the closed book part of it. Okay. Again, watch for the midterm to show up in resources, and watch for your 2 passages to show up in email, and then sit down and do that closed book part all together in a single setting. Okay. Is everybody clear, hopefully, on the closed book part? Any questions, of course, along the way, you're welcome to email me. All right. Now the open book essay. So the closed book part, you can't use anything else, as we said before, except for memory and computer. The open book essay, you are welcome to use whatever notes or other resources that you would like to. Obviously, any sources that you do cite that are not the class texts do need to be cited with a footnote or an endnote and a bibliographic listing. Of course, any style is perfectly acceptable in which to list those, such as Chicago's Manual of Style, but you do need to provide that information to avoid any accusation of plagiarism. All right, so now the essay itself has 2 topics that you may select for it. One of the topics is that you will go back to chapter 2 of the Harris-Plaster textbook. You can also look at chapter 2 of the Dowden textbook, and select one of the methods of interpretation that were listed there, like Freud and Jung and nature and charter, ritual, and so forth, all those. Select one of those. You're going to apply it to one of the ancient Greek works that you read. A very popular one, for instance, is Nature Myth applied to the Hymn of Demeter, because that's a very natural connection, the explanation of the seasons and so forth. So that could work. But of course, any other one that you would like to use is also very good. If you're going to do that topic, be very specific about describing what the method of interpretation is, separately from what's going on with the work, and then be really specific about the concepts that you're describing with the method of interpretation that you see echoed in the work itself. So you've got to make a very tight and close connection in order for that particular description to work properly. Okay, so work on that for that particular topic. The other topic for the midterm available is what purpose did the author have in writing the work that you're describing, and what type of message do you think he wanted to convey to his audience? Now, for both topics, you have to be very specific with evidence that you can cite from the ancient work you're describing. So if you're doing that one with nature myth and hymn of Demeter, you've got to go back and find passages in hymn of Demeter that you can cite in the essay, so you can demonstrate the connections between the method of interpretation, nature myth, and the hymn of Demeter, the work that you're describing. So citation of passages and analytical description of them, so that I can see that you read the work and that you're really using it specifically to analyze and advance your argument. Okay, so your argument should be placed in the first paragraph of your essay. Then your central paragraph should describe your topic and the evidence, the specific passages that you want to cite to back up that topic. And then finally, you want to provide a conclusion at the end to wrap it all up. Be particular with grammar, punctuation, and spelling. If there are a lot of mistakes with those, you're going to have points lost. So be really conscientious with editing, proofreading, spell checking. Watch out for homonyms like there. Make sure you italicize all the titles. That's really important. And also watch out for sentence structure. Know how to use conjunctions properly and punctuate them properly, like however and therefore, which have to have a semicolon in front of them, not a comma, as a lot of people mistakenly do, and those types of things. And also avoid an excessively conversational tone. Make sure that you do not use contractions like don't, can't, and so forth. The tone has to be professional and as formal as possible. So be very stringent with yourself about adopting an appropriate conversational tone. Okay, and so that should take care of the parts of the exam. When you're finished, put the entire exam in a single document, preferably a Word document from Microsoft Office or a PDF if you don't have Microsoft Word, and then submit the entire thing into your Dropbox. If you have a problem with the Dropbox, email me and we'll make another arrangement, but it should show up in the Dropbox if possible. And if you do that all correctly, then you're going to be in good shape with the midterm and you will come up with a good grade. All right, so good luck with the midterm exam, and we will see you on the other side of it in the next video as we start into ancient Athenian tragedy with Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. All right, we'll see you on the other side of the midterm.